recently by the Department of Labor that of all the students eligible to work over the summer, those ages 16 to 19, and this was last year, only a third actually chose to work. I thought to myself, that's kind of alarming, seeing as though there's so many places to work for kids. It's not always, the internships, but if you, in reality, what's going on today as opposed to, in years past, that kids are actually going to school in the summer a lot more, city college at that age. They are doing volunteer hours, trying to meet their high school requirements. And some of them are actually finding that it's not worth it. Their summer has shrunk to the point now where school starts before Labor Day as opposed to before. And I bring that up, and how does that kind of crosswalk with my icebreaker speech? Well, I'm not going to be up here, and I'm not going to tell you that I'm married, have 2 kids, have 2 dogs, grew up in Santa Barbara. I think most of you already know that. But when I think about my life, there are some things that I've even forgotten that I'd like to share with you, and that's about my summer jobs. It began in 1982. The restaurant business, specifically the fast food business, was recruiting me heavily. Okay, I had to make a decision, and of all the places to make a decision, I decided to take my talents to Wendy's. So, what I remember of that job is that it taught me responsibility. I had to clean the grill from the bottom to the top before I could go. And that actually, I remember today, I never try to go to bed without actually cleaning anything that I cook that night. What happened with that job is it lasted 2 months. I went back to school. The next year, instead of serving Frosties and fries and beer, I actually decided that I would actually serve gasoline. This is a job you don't see any longer, a service station attendant. I was able to actually use communication skills. Would you like your oil change? Would you like your tires inflated? Did you want gas, unleaded or leaded? I don't think at that time, I think there was actually diesel as well. And so what was nice about that job is it did provide tips. It was my very first job. I've never been a waiter or a busboy where I had tips, and a side note, fun fact, my son's girlfriend who lives in Oregon says that they still, if you go to Oregon, you have to use a service station attendant. You cannot independently pump your gas, which is interesting because I know in California it's hard to find these. My next summer job was, of course, a liquor store. Why not, right? Food, gas, liquor. All the necessities of life. I learned observation. I learned observation in this job, and the reason I say that, there was a man that used to come in, and I worked about 30 hours a week. So there were days during the week I would work successively. And there was a man that would come in every day on my shift, and he would set his money down. It was like $5.22, exact change every time. He wanted his Popov vodka, 1 pint, every single day. Now, I actually looked this up. It's 8 shots in a pint, 8.5 shots. So if you think about that, he was a functioning alcoholic, but he would do it in a manner where instead of buying a gallon, he would decide, or a fifth, he would decide, that's my control. I'm within my control. 8 shots. Tomorrow I'll begin it again. It was just amazing the things you would observe. I actually started school after this job, college. And it was going back home, and there was a job. I had a pickup truck, and again, another job that may not be around. I delivered phone books for a summer. That taught me hard work. The reason it taught me hard work is I actually had to load my truck of phone books. It took 2 hours every day to fill it up And then from there, I had to make my route. The one thing I do remember is I did deliver a phone book to Ray Kroc's house, the owner of, controversial founder of McDonald's. He lived up in Santa Ynez. He had this windy road, and he had a big M. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I actually did not deliver it before he died. He died in 1984, I think, and I think I delivered this in 86. Fun job, too. Next up was inventory, Washington Inventory Service. It was a job that worked from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. I worked it 3 days a week. And what it taught me was discipline, the ability to not goof off, because I knew that I would have to go in and work for 8 hours on my feet. This was before barcodes. We would go into a retail, either a pharmacy, or we'd go into a grocery store. Once the store had closed and we'd go in and we inventory. It taught me about business too, about what businesses look for in terms of truing up their inventory. Next summer job I had, a little bit more glamorous. I worked for the Forum, the fabulous Forum in Los Angeles. This was right before they acquired a player on their hockey team named Wayne Gretzky, who brought hockey to Southern California. It was transformational. So I actually did have to work. It was cold calling businesses, trying to get them to sell, or trying to sell season seats. And at the time, if any of you ever been to a suite at a stadium, well, this was the closest thing at the time. There was no glass at the Forum. Everyone had a seat, but they weren't ever behind a glass as it is today. What was, is it was called a Senate seat. You would sell it for every time the lights went on at the Forum, you had your seat, whether it was tennis, rodeo, hockey, basketball. At the time, the Lakers were very good, but it taught me persistence and patience, because when you called that one time, you were probably going to get a no. And that just meant that the next time I called, that we were going to actually do some business. I was setting up appointments and selling over the phone. Most fun job I have ever had, without a doubt, and the worst paying job was Student Painters. Student Painters is a franchise. It teaches students how to be an entrepreneur. You buy a franchise, you put a little money in, you get your friends to go and you paint houses. The way it works is it's one price, you bid on it, and your friends, this is with no skills, if they can, they paint that house. However they paint that house is how their hourly wage is going to be determined. And oftentimes it was not bid correctly, and we at times were paid about $1 an hour. I wanted to share this with you because as I look upon my life, and in closing, I think what people discount today are the soft skills. And when you think about jobs today, a lot of times you want to get internships because it's stepping stones to the next job. But for me, as I go back and look, the things that I did learn were persistence, patience, hard work, observation. And really that's what is, I think, what helps to the metamorphosis or transition you into the person you are today. And those are things that are intangibles but very important in life. Thank you.
Since it is an icebreaker, I believe we're supposed to.
Yes, we are.
That's a picture of me at the Forum. Cold calling.